In this video, I'm going to walk you through a Facebook ad testing strategy that my team uses to average over 40 new paid trialers monthly for over 70 different fitness studios. Now, we started Untapped Revenue in 2017, and since then, we've managed millions of dollars in ad spend for gyms. And so by doing so, we've developed an ad testing system that's going to help with 5 main things. Number 1, it's actually going to help optimize for bookings and show-ups rather than low quality leads like a lot of systems do. Number 2, we're going to be able to find the best offer to run in your location so that we can drop your lead cost by almost 50% in some cases. Number 3, we're going to help you find the best hook and copy to run for your ads so that you can make sure you have the best overall ad. Okay, we want to make sure you have the best copy, the best headline offer to run, and also making sure you have the best creative in place as well. Okay, number 4, we're going to help you find the perfect ad spend for your location. Facebook and Instagram run on an auction system when we're running ads. And so in order to beat out your competition and show up on the news feed, you need to make sure you're spending more than your competition, but not so much more that you're overspending for leads. And number 5, ultimately the main goal here is to help you build a marketing system that actually generates an ROI. Okay, and so we're going to show you a way in which you can properly track your stats so you can see your actual return on your investment so that it can help you scale into the future and moving forward with your studio. Okay, so step number 1 is to make sure you're optimizing for bookings and show-ups and not just trying to find the cheapest cost per lead. In some cases, the cheapest cost per lead is actually not getting you any bookings, and it's the more expensive ads that have higher quality leads that are getting you more bookings. And so as an example here, what we're looking at doing is adding these columns over here to your actual tracking on Facebook. That way we can give this information to Facebook to let them know, hey, out of all these leads that came through, what are the actions they actually took in the CRM system that you have to manage your studio? And so in this case here, I'm going to go through an example with High Level. Just keep in mind, whatever CRM system you're using, if you just type in how to set up conversion APIs using whatever system it is you're using, there should be some training videos on that. For the sake of this video, there's way too many CRM systems to go through them all. In this case, I'm just going to show you the high-level version of this so that you can implement it for yourself. And so what we really want to look at here is, these metrics here. And so ideally, like if I look at this in the past, couple days or so here, let's just do the 27th to the 29th, as these are some metrics that are actually up in front. And you can see here that there's 9 leads, 3 bookings. That's roughly 33%. However, what I wanted to mention about these metrics is that they are lagging indicators. Okay, it takes a little bit of time for Facebook to gather the information from your CRM and then actually report it here. And so what ends up happening is some of these stats are a little bit delayed. However, this gives us a general idea of what ads are actually getting us the most bookings. And so you can see here, this one had 2 bookings, $83 spent. So that's roughly $40, $41, $42 per booking. This one here got 1, which is about $19 a booking right there. This person already had a show up, which is a good sign and a good signal for that ad in particular. And so hot lead just represents response rate, booked appointments, obviously bookings, trial started is, show up rates, and then purchase membership. However, what I will mention as well is these backend stats take a lot longer to actually populate compared to these two. And that's because these are the most lagging indicators over here, because if somebody books an appointment, they might not show up for a couple days, and then it takes a little bit for Facebook to report on that. And so these metrics really come in later. However, the reason it's so important is because we want to tell Facebook this information so we can say, hey, I want you to find more people who are actually going to book an appointment, not just people who are going to click on the ad and opt in when they're not really a good fit in the first place. Okay. And so just to reiterate this tracking setup here is based on the pipelines in high level here. And so when somebody goes to hot lead, we send that to Facebook. When they go to booked appointment, that goes to Facebook. When they go all the way over to trial started over here, we send that to Facebook. And then same with if they purchase a membership. Okay, so all that data is being fed into Facebook. So how do you get this in place? And so very simply, all you're going to do is head over into Events Manager. For the sake of this video here, I'm going to assume you have a Pixel setup. If not, there's tons of videos on how to set up a Pixel online. Just go through that, get the basic Pixel set up and in place, and then you can walk through the remainder of these steps to set up your conversion API. Full disclosure, depending on your CRM, the setup is going to be different. And so if you search some of the support documents of your CRM, there should be some documentation on how to set this up with the current system that you're using. And so in this case, we're going to go in this pixel, and you can already see down here that these events are firing. And so you can see all the hot leads, booked appointments, trials started, and purchased memberships. And I can see all the events that have come through over the past 28 days up here. Okay. And so I can see that there's been 37 responses, 28 bookings, 14 trials started, and 3 who have purchased a membership so far. Keep in mind, these are lagging metrics, and so they're not going to be 100% accurate. And so to get the full logistics on what's going on, you're definitely going to want to look into your CRM to figure out the rest of that detail. So in this case, I could head into the pipeline here. In this case, I'm filtered by the last couple days. And so this is showing me, in the past couple days, we've had 4 bookings. And so that's just the total of all these contacts here. So 4 bookings, 3 are upcoming, 1 has already showed up for the appointment. And so realistically, I don't know the true show up rate yet until these appointments actually, either show up or no show. Okay. And so depending on what happens here, we're going to get more of these trials started. And then of course, in order to determine purchased memberships, they need to finish the trial and actually sign up to a membership before that information is going to populate over here. Okay. And so how do we set this up? So once you have your pixel, you're going to come in here, click on your pixel and go to add events, add new integration, and you're going to click conversion API. You're then going to click setup here. Depending on what you're using for your CRM is going to depend what you do here. Generally, most of you are going to be doing it manually, but if you have one of these API partnerships with any of these platforms here, you could potentially use it. 99% of you are likely going to be doing it through manual. And so conversion API, setup manually, click next. And then over here, you're going to select events. So you're going to click, you're going to click continue. Then you're going to select your events. So these are the ones, I already have them pre-selected here. So you can see them there. But what you're going to basically do here is they're going to show up in this list of standard events. And so you're going to go see all app events, and then you're going to look for these 3 here: purchase, schedule, and start trial. Now, once you select those, you can click continue. And then what you're going to do is select all of these different boxes. Okay. I'm not going to go through all of this clicking for you. I'm going to skip through that, but select them all. And then make sure you select schedule, do the same thing, select all the boxes, go to start trial, select all the boxes, same thing. And then you're going to click continue. Continue here to review the steps, confirm, and then you're going to click finish. Okay, now at this point, you have the general basic structure set up, and now you need to head over into settings, and you need to complete the actual setup from the CRM side. Okay, and so what we need to gather is going to depend on the CRM that you're actually using. And so if you're using high level, the only thing that you need is the dataset ID and the generate access token. And so what you need to do at this point is look up your CRM in your CRM support documents and figure out how to enable conversion APIs using Facebook ads. Okay, so you're probably going to need the access token here and the pixel ID or the dataset ID in this case. Okay, if you're using high level, there is a help document under the support articles that will walk you through step by step how to complete this build out. But once you have that in place, you can then head back into your campaign. And once you have it all built out and it's starting to track those events from your CRM, you can actually update your reporting columns here on Facebook side to update for bookings. So you can see here we have hot lead, booked appointment, trial started, and purchase membership. And so how you add this to the reporting column here is you head up here into the reporting section. You're then going to go, I usually start with performance and clicks because it has some good base stats. And then you click customize column. And at this point here, you're going to scroll all the way down until you get to custom events. And you're going to select all the custom events that should be populated here. Now, keep in mind, if these have not populated yet, because the CRM hasn't started to send this information back, this will not show up here. Okay. And so it might take a few days for this to start to fully populate, but when it does, you're going to want to come in here, add it to your reporting column, and then save it as a preset. So I usually just call it ideal stats. And then that way, once you've saved it, you come in here and you have a section here that showcases all of this information that is vital to the success of your campaign. Okay, now you have your tracking in place. The next step, which is step 2, is to start the ad testing process. And so phase 1 in our ad testing process is offer testing. The reason we start with this is because it makes the most difference in terms of your lead cost than any other test that we can run. Okay, creative is a close second, but the offer that you're running is the most important thing that you can test in your ad account. And so how we do this is we're going to create 3 to 5 ads that are identical except for the headline. And so you can see here in this example graphic, everything is the exact same except the offers down here. Okay. Then what we're going to do is we're going to analyze the data after each has gotten the same amount of impressions. Okay. You don't want one that has 5,000 impressions and another one that has 500. They need to have a fair test. And so they all need the same amount of impressions. And then you can look at this data and go, okay, this one had the best cost per lead. Now, keep in mind in this phase, we're not optimizing for bookings and show ups yet because we're not going to have enough data. Okay, for each of these, they're getting about 1,100 impressions. This is not enough leads to really know which one's going to get the most bookings. And so what we're first and foremost trying to do is get our costs down as low as possible. And then we can optimize for bookings on the back end later on. And we'll do that in the last phase of testing, which we'll get to in step 5. Okay, and so once we figure out which one's doing the best, we figure out the winning offer. In this case here, it was the 14-day core restore. And so we're going to move forward with that offer into the next phase of testing. Let's go into an ad account to show you exactly what this looks like. Okay, so this is an offer test that we ran. You'll notice that we ran quite a few different tests. We ran a variety of different tests, different lengths, different prices to figure out what is really resonating with this audience. And you'll see here that based on the stats, there's a drastic difference in lead cost. And this is how you can drop your lead cost by about 50% if you've never done offer testing before. Because what generally happens is, a studio owner will be like, oh, I want to run 7 classes for $7 because I feel like it. Okay. And if you felt like running this and you're just running this offer because you wanted to, your costs could be astronomically high in comparison to if you ran a test. Okay. So in this example here, the 15-day actually won. The reason it has a lot more impressions than the rest of these ones down here is because it was doing so well that we let it run within this campaign. And so that's why it looks a little bit different, but it was getting like $2 leads. And so it was the most successful campaign here when we first started. But look at the difference here. 19, 17, 19, 27, $10, $5, $3. This one was at $2. Okay. And so by simply running a test like this, you can drastically reduce your cost per lead. Okay, step number 3, also phase 2 in our testing process, we're going to look at headline hook testing. And so what we're going to do in this process here is we're going to take the winning ad from phase 1. Okay, so that's our offer test that we just completed. And we're going to duplicate it 3 to 5 times so that we can figure out what hook in the headline is actually going to be the best. And so you can see here we have the tone and sculpt. We have the slim down, we have a 14-day full body. Everything else in the ad is the exact same, and we're comparing against the original, which in this case is the 14-day core restore. And so we're just trying to figure out, what hook appeals the most to the audience. Afterwards, same idea, 1,100 impressions for each, figure out which one gets the best stats for cost per lead, not looking at booking or show up rate yet, and then move forward with that winning campaign. Okay, so let's go into an actual live example where we just ran this test for this client. And so if we go in here, you can see here the difference between these ads. And so tone and sculpt, we have the slim down program, we have the hourglass program, and we have the full body revamp program. Okay. And so in this case, hook number 2 was actually the winner here. And you can see the drastic difference in costs. Okay. $13 versus $24, $38, and $37. And you'd think like, they're all practically the exact same offer. So how could it make that much of a difference? But you can just see the drastic difference, okay? This is almost 50% less just by running this hook test, okay? And so keep that in mind. This is exactly why we have this testing process in place. And so in this case, it was the Hourglass program that did really well. And you'll notice we've also moved into testing a new creative here with this hook, okay? And so that's the, headline hook testing process. Okay, we are on step 4 right now, which is phase 3 of our testing process with our ads, where we're going to be looking at the copy and the hook in particular of the copy. So when I say hook in this case, I'm talking about this upper section of the ad. And so if you were to click this see more button, you're going to get the full copy, but we really want to optimize for what people are seeing above the fold. Okay. And so above the fold in this case just means this section here and not, what I just mentioned. And so same process that we did before, we're going to take the winner from the previous test. And so in this case, it was from phase 2, which is our headline hook test. And so let's say in this example here, the core restore was the winner once again. In the previous example I just went through, it was the Hourglass program in that live account I showed you. In this case, we're doing core restore. And so all we're changing is these copies in each of these tests. Same setup. We're going to let them each get 1,100 impressions, and then we're going to look to see which one had the best stats. Decide on that as the winner, and that'll be the copy that we use moving forward. Let's go into an example here. So we went through this one. We're now going to go through some copies. Okay, so you can see here, this first copy here, video number 10, which you can see here, is going to be the control. So this was the winner from the previous test. And so this is the copy that we're controlling, and we're comparing it against these other ones here. And so if I go to this one here, so this is a different copy for, let me just make sure I have this selected. This is a different copy here. You can click see more to see the rest of it. And then number 2 here, this is a different copy, a lot longer of a copy here. And then we have copy number 1, which is slightly different than the rest, but all very similar because we know these are good performing copies. Okay. And so same process here. We're going to run a test, let them each get 1,100, and then we're going to look at the results and see, okay, which one got the best costs, and then move to the next and final test, which is arguably the most important aside from the offer test. So step number 5 is creative testing. We're taking the winning ad from the last phase, which is just the copy. And so we're taking that and we're going to duplicate it 3 to 5 times, but change the creative. Okay, so in this case, we're only changing this variable here. The rest is going to stay the exact same. Let me just bring this back into present mode. So for creative testing, we're not shutting ads off at 1,100 impressions. So I misspoke there. And the reason is because at this point, we're going to keep ads running for a long period of time. And so now what we're looking at doing is starting to optimize for what we set up in step 1, which was our conversion APIs, which is going to look at our booking and our show up rate stats. And so at this point, we're trying to get the cost per lead down, but we're also trying to look at, which one is actually bringing in bookings. And so we're not stopping after 1,100 impressions. The only time we're stopping is when the ads are too expensive and they're not getting bookings. Okay. So at this point, we're looking to identify the account's average cost per lead. And so some accounts have $5 averages, $10 averages, $15 averages. So we're trying to figure out what's that average price point at your location. And then based on that, we're going to be adjusting our ads accordingly. And so in this case, a good rule of thumb is any creatives that are $5 over the average, we turn off. Okay. This is going to be consistently changing this average of your cost per lead over time. So it's going to fluctuate depending on seasons. Like if it's December, it's going to be higher. If it's summer, it's probably going to be a little bit higher. And so it's going to constantly adjust. So we need to adjust our parameters for changing ads during those given time periods. Okay. So here's an example. If we have $11 cost per lead and a $9 cost per lead, but these ones are 19 and 17, we're going to shut those ones off and leave the winners running. However, the one exception is going to be when these ads over here are getting more bookings than these ones. Okay. If this one is running and it's getting, most of the leads, but none of them are booking, this one is getting shut off. If this one is running and it's getting all the bookings, we're going to keep this one running. Okay. And so keep that in mind. There is some nuance to this once we bring in, booking and show up rate tracking. So some creative tests to keep in mind. The creative type. And so when we're running this test, we want to have, a video, an image, a carousel, a Canva style, maybe an AI image. So different types to run here. Then we're going to also look at different styles. And so like a selfie video versus a class demonstration, a studio tour, some testimonials, group photos, so on and so forth. We're also going to look at potentially using some video openers. So, changing out the first 5 seconds of the video ad to see if, different hooks are going to respond differently. We also like to test avatars. And so if you have, somebody doing a selfie and it's a man, you want to change that out for a woman and see what the difference is in terms of results doing that. Text overlay. So that would be a big banner at the top of the ad where you can just put a headline hook there that can really stand out and pop on the newsfeed. Okay, once we have enough data on which creatives do well, we want to use that to create more. Okay, and so the idea here with this is anytime you start to learn any information with your ads, if it's a video style that's working well, you want to take that and create replications of it with different similarities, but a little bit of differences. Okay. And so that way we can increase the longevity of our campaigns and our successful ads moving forward. Okay. And so let's just do a quick example here of what it looks like in an account where we're running creative testing and we're at this last phase consistently. So let me just flip this up. And so you can see here, our best performing ad that's constantly running right now is at $4.13. So it has 407 leads so far generated, and it just keeps getting good leads. Okay. And if I scroll down here, you'll see this one ran for quite a while with a pretty high cost or pretty low cost per lead. Some of these ones as well. And so all we're doing here is we're duplicating the ad, changing out the creative, and keeping things fresh. Okay, and you can see here, this lasted a long time and it's still going on in this account, because when we put proper tests in place to start, we know what copy works well, we know what offer, we know the headline/hook that's working well. And now we just need to keep creatives fresh and exciting on the newsfeed so that we can keep attracting clients to the studio. So this is the exact ad testing process that we use with our fitness studio partners to help them average roughly 20 new memberships every single month. When you have proper tracking in place to optimize for bookings and show ups, you have an isolated variable testing system to figure out offers, headline hooks, your ad copy, as well as your creatives. You have a system now that can slowly over time improve, right? You know what's working and what's not working so that you can make tweaks, you can make fixes rather than throwing spaghetti on the wall and hoping that something works. You know exactly what's working with clarity and certainty because you're testing things properly. I hope you got a ton of value from this video. If you did, please leave it a like. And if you want more content like this, please subscribe to the channel where I'll be releasing videos every single week on how to grow your studio. And if you're looking for something like this to get done and built for you, you can check out untapped-revenue.com and book a free strategy session with myself, and we can go over your unique situation. Peace.